Moorfoot mini movies. Subitising. What is subitising? Well, it's basically being able to count how many objects are there in a small group without actually counting them individually. So it's looking for those patterns, looking for that pattern recognition, and also using the composition of numbers, and it reinforces those number bonds. So let's look at an example of that just now. If we were using a dice, we have straight away, you would all recognise that as a number 5. And you may think you would know that because it's 4 on the corner and 1 in the middle, or you might know it as 3 and a 2, or a 2, a 2 and a 1. And that number pattern and composition helps reinforce the number bonds within a child's learning, but also it really helps them just to visualise what 5 looks like. And it helps them as they go on when they're just counting to look for those patterns, and we'll look a wee bit more in detail as we go through this. Now, if you don't have a dice at home, that isn't a problem. We have uploaded lots of different PDFs with flashcards, which are flashcards of dice, dominoes, all the things we're using here today. But also I will upload links for you to find an online dice. There's lots of opportunities for that too. So first of all, roll a dice, and the one we've got here is 5. You'd be asking your child, how do you know it's 5? So you're really encouraging them to look at what that 5 is made up of. So another activity is using dominoes. Again, we will upload flashcards if you don't have dominoes, but if you do, then we would encourage them just to pick one randomly. What number is it? And how do you know it's that number? How do you know it's 9? So they might look at this along here and recognise the 3 and the 1, because the 3 and the 3 is similar to that dice pattern. They may also look at it as being 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 3 down the middle. And again, you can see that composition of number happening, and you can see the patterns that they've recognised from playing with the dice. So again, if you were playing dominoes or a board game with dice and you were worried that the child was just simply playing, look at how much learning is happening through that play. Okay, and then on this side, they would recognise straight away that that's 2 from their domino, from their dice rather, and altogether on the domino with the 2 sides, they would work out that this was 7 and that this was 2, altogether that would be 9. And then I would encourage them to find another domino that makes 9, to look at that number composition again to see what makes a 9. Could it be the 7 and 2? Could it be 5 and 4, 6 and 3, and so on? Another activity that we could use is our fingers. Now, that's something you don't need any resources for. So show me 8. And how would you know that that was 8 without counting? Well, most children know straight away that the first sum they can work out is that they've got 10 fingers. So if they were just to have one hand, they would know straight away that that was 5. So that they would begin with the 5 and then adding on another 3 to make 8. They would see that 8 is made up of 5 and 3. Can you do that in a different way? Perhaps they would do 4 and 4. They might even be using 2 and 5, 1. How would they make the 6 with their fingers? So lots of discussion around it. And again, a nice easy one because you don't need any resources. Okay, another one that we use in class is hiding the numbers. And I'm going to go over an activity that you can do. I've given you a suggestion of using bowls because it's something that most people have in the house, and pieces of pasta. So what you would want to do is you would put the one piece of pasta under a bowl, then 2 and then 3, and then quickly lift and replace one bowl and challenge children to see how many there are. You're swapping the bowls round so that they're not doing it from memory, and they're really just looking for that pattern. Now, if you don't want to use bowls, what we would use in school is just a sheet of paper to screen it, and we would put out the pattern of the pasta. We might put it into those 4 corners, similar to the dice, a piece in each corner there, so that when you lift the sheet, they're recognising the pattern, and they straight away link that to the number 4. So it can be hiding no matter whatever amount, but then what you could also do is putting 6 pieces of pasta underneath there. They know it's 6. You've hidden that, but you've taken 2 away. How many is going to be left over? So you can add and subtract using that same subitising activity. We also use 10 frames in school. That's basically a sheet of paper, if you can imagine, split into 10 equal boxes. We use counters, and again, I've uploaded a PDF so that you can access 10 frames if you want to do some activities with those. There's also available online Reckon Recs, which are very similar to this process, but I thought this one would be a wee bit easier for everyone to use. So straight away, when it's on its side like this, when it's lying horizontally, we would know there was 5 boxes on the top and 5 on the bottom. So if all the boxes are filled with counters on the top, it's going to be 5. And if they're empty on the bottom, that's going to be 5 empty ones. So using that recognises those patterns. They'll always know it begins from 5 and 5, a bit similar to that they know there's 5 on their hand. Down here, they've got 4 counters. You could ask your child, how did they know there was 4? Well, there was 1 box missing. They know it's always going to be 5. How much is there altogether? How would you know? Well, there was 4 there because there was 1 missing, 4 there, 8 altogether. Or they might do it a completely different way. They might see the 6 and the 1 and the 1. It's up to them how they solve it, but they're looking for patterns. You can also turn the 10 frame onto its side so that it's lying up and down the way, portrait, and that will help them to use them counting in 2s. So they would know that 5 is half of 10. They would be able to see what was missing, and it's another way to use them to counting in 2s. And lastly, we've got some random dot patterns, or well, it looks like random, but we're actually looking for the pattern here. And it's about that discussion. How many do you know is there? How do you know that? So again, we've got the 3 that I would recognise from a dice, and then 1, or maybe some children would do 2 and 2. Again, that composition of number. Over here, we've got that straight away. I recognise that as a triangle, so I'd know that that was 3 plus 2, or maybe I would do it in a completely different way. I might do 3 here and 2. Over here, that pattern to me, I can see that that's 5, but you might see it as 3 with 3. And again, it's about that composition of number, and it's really good practice just to talk to them about it and see if they can work it out. Again, we would recommend going onto YouTube, searching for Subitising activities. There are lots and lots of these online. Thank you.